Our exam is on starting on chapter 5, then we did chapter 6, then we actually went back to chapter 5 again, and then we did chapter 9. So chapter 6 was a really big chapter, so if you notice, that's a bigger section of our review. And then chapter 9 was what we most recently did, so that's not on this sheet yet. So I'll kind of do like a mini review with that tomorrow as like a sheet for you guys. So you guys are going to be getting an exam review packet that just has these 3 chapters on it currently, and then I'll add the chapter 9 stuff in tomorrow. So this is day 1 of review. Tomorrow is just another day of review, but you guys can bring questions from your exam review that you guys are going to be getting tonight. And then just a reminder, you guys can use a note card on it, front side and back. So if you guys need that, they're here. And then also our exam schedule. What do you need? The note card? Thank you. So just real quick with the exam schedule. So Wednesday exams are your first and third hour exams. And just a reminder that since our exam is the last exam of the exam periods, that's on Thursday morning. So those of you guys online, that's a different time than it typically is. So I have my geometry exams that first day. You have normal AR that day. But at the end of the day on Wednesday, I have the option to ask you guys to be here. So if you have missing work or your stuff is not in order, I might ask you guys to be here. Now that's optional, like unless I require, so it can be optional. So if you want to come get help at that time, that's fine. If I request you, and that's really with people outstanding assignments, and that maybe are like kind of on that borderline between passing and failing, that would be the time you guys would want to be here with me. So I would request you during that time to be here. And that would be during the 4th block time slot, so from like 2:20 to 3 p.m. Now, if for some reason your second block teacher doesn't need you, I have second block free, so you'd be welcome to come a little bit earlier too. So just know that if you're required to come during that time, you're welcome to come even if you're not required. So I'll let you guys are supposed to know about that by tomorrow, like lunchtime or before the end of the day. So our exam is early on Thursday. So we come to school and have the second block exam. You have a 10-minute break, and then you guys can come in for this exam. It's during that time slot when you guys are done with the exam, and we're all done. So at 11 o'clock, they'll dismiss us, and you guys can do a grab-and-go lunch, and then you're off for the weekend. So there's no virtual Fridays. Now, if for some reason you're like absent Wednesday or missing a test, there is a makeup exam period that afternoon, but I'm assuming most of you guys won't have to do that. So, so no virtual Friday this week. Questions on that at all? So kind of a weird exam time from what we're typically, like our typical day. All right. So this sheet, again, we're going to go through some practice problems. We'll take a break about halfway through. And then you guys will get a review that goes through these specific practice problems as well. And then like tomorrow I'll have a smaller review with just chapter 9 on it. So, let me pull this up.
I think my class is
it's just chapter 5.
I have that right now.
All of it, everything.
At least mine's at the end of the day.
Yeah, mine's right in the morning.
Actually, morning's end of weeks. Do you have a first end of week?
No, not only max, like I have first period, max for everyone else, but I have everything. And I just created writing. Yeah.
Just like
It's not one
I actually thought that really like
All right. So guys, so the first half of chapter 5 we did was on our polynomials. So that included our exponent rules, but also our rules about how to divide polynomials, how to multiply, kind of put things together, take them apart. That was the first half of chapter 5, and you probably don't recall this, but we separated chapter 5 into the 2 parts. The second part of chapter 5 was the part you guys probably all hated. That was the radical one.
Good.
We'll do that right before we leave today. Make sense? Okay. So these are our exponent rule problems, these first couple, because these are all monomials. So these 2 sets of problems here, we use our exponent rules for. So that's our rules that when I'm multiplying, I'm going to add the exponents. So I'm going to do power to a power and distribute that in. So like in this first letter A, I'm going to distribute that power in. So do you want a minute to try those? Or are you like, just go, lady?
Just go.
Okay. So I don't want to like steal your thunder if you're like, I got this. No? No, not so much?
Can you
Okay.
make thunder from no clouds?
All right. So x to what power here?
-3.
Right.
X to -12.
There we go. -12. I was like, yikes. I was worried. Ethan. All right. So the 12 or the 2x to the 4th doesn't change. Now, since I have x's, both of these x's here, I can combine them the way they are. What does that become? -8. So this is going to be 2x to the -8. But our directions say write with positive non-zero exponents. So what do I need to move? The x needs to move to the bottom. Right now it's on top, so it's going to go on the bottom. How about the 2? That actually stays on top because its exponent's like a 1. So this would be our new fraction. You're like, comes back to me like immediately.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
coming back.
So, just a reminder though, guys, those of you guys like taking the exam, if like something like that is a struggle for you, you have a note card. And honestly, there's been very rare that I've seen someone fill the note card. You're probably like challenge accepted, but like the note card, I mean, put examples on there if that'd be helpful, or write yourself little tips and say power to a power to multiply those exponents. It's just up to you guys what rules you want to write down. So, all right. Now this next one, kind of a whole lot going on here. I would suggest trying to simplify the top at all, if I can, before I work between the 2 of them. It probably can be done a couple of ways, but I'm going to simplify the top if that's all right. So I'm going to put all that together. Well, actually, do you want to do it that way? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. 2 times 4 times 3, 24. How many x's are up on top right now? There's 2, 2, and 1. So
That's
x to
5.
the 5th, that's 5. Very good. How many y's?
8.
8. Okay. So then I have 24 over 3, which is really just
8.
8 over 1. Please close up the computer. Then, how about the x's? What happens there?
There's more on the top.
There's more on the top, but I like to make this one positive. So that one's going to move up and become positive. So the -3 is going to move to the top and become positive 3. So how many x's are going to be on top?
8.
There'll be 8 total.
Why are you laughing at me?
And then the y's. Where are there more y's?
5.
On top. How many more?
6.
6.
That's what I meant to say.
And then there'd just be like a 1 left on the bottom, or there doesn't need to be a bottom at all. No bottoms.
That's what she said.
All right. Now this next one is kind of a different type of problem because these were monomials over here. This one has 3 terms and it's all being divided by this 2xy. So I might write this a little bit differently so it kind of helps you guys to visualize what's going on here. I'm going to write it up here just because I'm running out of space down there. So this is all being divided by 2xy. So if you recall, when we're dividing a trinomial by a binomial, I'm just distributing this to all three parts. So I'm just going to divide each of those by the 2xy. So if it helps to write it out as kind of three separate fractions, you can. You don't need to do this. But if that's helpful visualizing this. And we have to write what we have like from that then. So 14 over 2 is 7. What happens with the x's and y's?
The x's cancel.
X's cancel,
And there's one more y.
1y. Plus 8 over 2, 4.
There's one more x on top and the y's.
The y's cancel, just an x left.
Don't just cancel.
They cancel, so what do we have to write then? A negative 1. This all cancels to just be a 1. So this would be the new version of that. You're turning into Garrett. They asked for a break over here, Garrett. That's fine. Sorry. Okay. Yikes. Oh, you guys. Okay.
Wait, so we don't get a break?
We made it through like, if we broke the, no, we don't. We're like a 12th of the way through the notes.
Dang.
What?
I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know.
Break after every single example.
Yeah, it's pretty close to that. Don't you think?
It's a 1/10 actually.
Well, 110. Sorry. Gosh, we're so far.
Actually, we're 3/7
Take a vacation.
because of each equation. There's separate like things.
3/17, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. That's better than I thought.
What I heard it comes to 17. Sorry.
Okay, so this next one, what do we need to remember with the squared?
And it's like the
You have to do FOIL, so you have to write it twice.
Good
Yeah.
job.
I look at that. You guys are on rolls now.
On rolls.
Rolls.
It's a joke, Kinsey.
On a roll. That's it. I was trying to say like all of you are on a roll. With multiple rolls.
Gosh darn it, Kinsey.
what?
Did you wish Mr. Donahue a happy birthday?
Yeah, I did?
Yeah.
Yes, I
Is he actually 43 or whatever?
Yeah.
I thought he was 30.
But yes, sorry.
I literally thought you guys were in your 30s.
Hey.
Yeah, we are.
Hey.
We just lie about it. We lie about it. Sorry.
He's older than I did.
No, your dad is younger than 43?
Yeah, my dad's only 41. My dad's 42.
Wow, stop.
I thought your dad was like 45. Kinsey.
That's all I gotta say.
Like, how old are you?
I'm in my 50s.
Really?
No way. Oh, yeah, thank you. I'm closer to being dead than I am to alive, so. Thank you. Paige pointed out, this should have a little squared on it, sorry. Thank you, Paige.
No, it's good.
Actually, this morning I almost wrote that he was 42, and then I realized he was 43. So.
I did not think that.
I swear you guys.
He looks like he's like 37 or something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Ooh.
37.
He makes 43 look good.
Yeah,
That's
he
what-
does.
Does not look like he's 40.
I feel like I just came out of college.
Well, we like literally when we started teaching though, we looked like we were 15. I mean, like everyone thought we were like both of us looked so young. That,
Oh yeah, that picture you put with like you as the kid and you were really little, I was like, whoa, they look young.
yeah, we were like babies. So
Wait,
I also saw like.
now you have to go look at them.
Yeah.
They're like in white or something.
Oh yeah.
I saw it.
Like,
I've just been like.
yeah.
And then we already been married. I mean, we've been together for. Cause I had the boys when I was 30. I had Griffey when I was 30.
My mom had me when she was.
My mom had me when she was 29.
my mom
So
had
like-
my brother when she was 18 and then me whenever later.
But don't you think that's? I mean, that's older than most parents here, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, don't you like? There's a lot
Well,
of-
around here you get married and then a year later you have a kid.
Oh my gosh.
You just be so blonde. Or at least dyed.
Dyed blonde. It was never real. Ever since I was a little kid. But I didn't dye as a little kid. After
She's like 3 years old getting foils in her
Yeah.
hair.
I mean,
Alright, so now this one, you guys, isn't foil because of the minus sign between these. So this one I just have to combine like terms.
Whoa. What?
you are correct. The one I want to see. Look at that one. Oh,
Babies have babies.
You guys look like you're in high school.
yeah, I know.
That's surprised me 60.
You guys literally look
Places.
One of these things was the pumpkin.
Alright.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, he is not
Wait.
43. I was like, this has gotta be a joke. I was like, maybe she switched the 3 and the 4. That's literally
Well,
what I thought would
then
happen.
he would have had the son like young.
Alright, so guys, are we okay on the
He
foil?
would have been like
Distributed
11,
property.
like, but I did the math.
Okay, so then we did synthetic and long division, and I thought we could just do the one problem both ways. So, this is probably like PTSD for you guys, so hang on.
That's
So-
why your brain.
Let's do this one at least.
No, wait, no.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What the?
That was a weird letter,
You
I
want
guess.
to smoke? I would leave.
Mr. Lucas forwarded
I
us
would watch
the
that.
link
He's a
to
wrestler.
the creative writing issue,
Maybe that's
but he kept in what Miss Lucas sent to Mr. Lucas, so it says, "Hey, Daddy-o,"
That's
and love you.
It really says.
Alright, so this is long division, and then we'll do synthetic as well.
Which one's easier?
I think you guys like synthetic better.
Yes, for sure.
Really? I don't read this one. I feel like I like
This was because you had to, like, if there's missing an exponent, you had to put it in, and you'd always.
It's long. I remember that.
He's not gonna get hired started.
Yeah, it's like kind of hocus pocus, but yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
guys.
was better.
So we have to divide p to the third by p. So this, remember, if I kind of wrote things, why do I keep writing that as like a b? P to the third divided by p is kind of what I'm
I
thinking.
have no love.
3P.
No.
This is the one where you just kept yelling out random things and it was not right. I remember it now.
Oh, I
So-
remember I was sick, and when I was watching his notes, I was like, what is he?
Wait, no,
So
yeah,
it's
three.
p to the third divided by p. What do we get?
3P.
Two.
P to the second, because it's
Oh,
3 minus 1.
These are the thought bubbles.
Yep, thought bubble.
Oh, I didn't leave
Really
enough
close.
space to write stuff
I
on
don't
top.
remember this.
I did.
Bad decision.
I don't have enough room.
I think
Sorry,
we're
there's
still-
probably enough room on this one.
We
You might
were
want to
too
cross
busy
paper.
talking about Mr. Ryan's stage.
Yeah.
Mr.
So then we multiply this back to each of these terms.
Oh my goodness.
I find it weird because he's older than my dad.
This reminds me of like, I don't know.
That's like, I think 60.
That's like
Alright.
So we multiply that back. Sorry, probably don't have a ton of room. You might want to flip over the page or something or do the margin.
Or just,
2P.
guess.
All right. Now we have to subtract. You just keep yelling 2p out. All right. So p to the third minus p to the third cancels. Negative 10 minus minus becomes plus 5.
So -5.
Very good.
Good job.
And then we bring down that next term.
20p.
Okay.
Okay.
You guys
Alright.
okay over there?
Right time.
Okay, we have to at least finish these problems.
No.
Alright.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Gosh, darn it.
Negative 5p to the second divided by p now. So this is my next thought bubble here.
Five.
Negative 5.
Negative 5p because the 1p cancels.
Oh my gosh, that was really close.
You're really close. Now that number's got to get multiplied to each of those on the outside. So we're going to multiply back.
Oh my goodness.
So this is 25p. And if you're doing this right, that first term should always cancel. 20 minus 25, negative 5p. And then we bring down that next term. Sorry.
That's cool.
That's not okay. I mean, it's okay.
Now I have to divide here. Negative 5p divided by p,
P squared.
just negative 5.
Why? Okay.
I thought
And then that gets multiplied back.
some bare remainder or something.
And there is going to be a remainder on this one.
Sweet.
26 minus 25 is going to be,
One. Oh,
One.
yeah, one. Don't try to fool me like that.
and so if you guys, I probably shouldn't have written that way. So what the remainder then is you take the 1 and put it over what you're dividing by.
Oh.
We're not done yet. We still need to do the other type.
That is gonna be a beautiful section of my note card.
We need 2 breaks.
Okay, we need 2 breaks. Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Wait, we need hours then to get through class.
Not if we take a short break.
Short break.
Short break.
Okay.
Pound our head against the wall.
So, for synthetic division, we take this number and we do the opposite of it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This is synthetic division.
That always reminded me of Rapunzel in the throat.
Oh, very good. This is the Rapunzel type. It's her hair hanging down, obviously. All right. So then you take all the coefficients. So the first coefficient's a 1, negative 10, 20, 26.
Kinsey, that was gross. Who burped?
So.
All right.
He's gross.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. So we drop down the first term. You don't do anything with that 1 yet. So not 5.
Wait.
4 away from 5, so.
Now, we multiply these together. 5 times 1 is 5. And now I'm going to add these.
Ooh.
Gosh darn it, Kinsey.
What?
You said ooh, so then I started writing ooh.
Okay.
Well, next one.
Now we multiply negative 5 times positive 5, so negative 25. Adding it.
Oh my gosh. 25. It's almost like it's supposed to work.
All right. So now we work our way backwards. So this is the remainder, same as the remainder over here. Then this is the constant. So this is the one without the variable. Then this is the x. This is the x squared. So it should be identical. Well, it's x or p or whatever it happens to be.
Good job, everybody. We made it through it.
All right. So apparently we need a break because you guys.
Yeah, we need a
We're
break.
gonna need to take a few breaks.
That was a lot.
Tell you the truth.
Good.
Can we still figure
I
out
guess
that?
worst case scenario, if we don't get to chapter 9, we just did that, right? Like, I mean, so tomorrow we and we'll just.
Worst scenario, like.
I don't know, we go through the first page and then I'll-
Worst case scenario, we just don't have a fine.
Don't choose the flyer.
Worst case scenario, Kinsey takes all of our final scores.
What? Sure. I'll actually, I'll give
Because
it.
one of my games would be the better.
And then I'll do my best on mine. And then.
Joshua Bassett song's out in a couple of days.
I know that.
I'm
If you say
very
that.
so lucky.
That beautiful
They should have out
He's so pretty.
The Browns are good.
I know that, but they should have one that.
Their team is stacked.
You're dumb. You better, this better not
They're
be.
so lucky. With the-
You are really.
They're so lucky the Steelers.
Oh yeah, Mr. Donahue played a song that said the F word
Browns,
today.
the Browns will pass.
Really? That's what I've been saying.
Driver's license, and she's like,
They're
yeah,
gonna beat the
still.
Bills and back.
The last few years, I feel like the Browns are going to the Super Bowl. Because they're the worst team.
Finally.
It's gonna be the Bills and back.
Well, because didn't the Steelers almost came back on them, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it got close.
Exactly.
Browns are back in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Browns are taking us down.
Browns is the other.
500 yards.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's carrying.
Are we breaked out? Oh, we're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we're good.
I like the hoop.
Are you serious? He's ready to go.
From a few years, oh, this guy's Kahoot ready. From a few years ago, I actually have a Mr. Donahue birthday Kahoot.
Oh my gosh, we
Let's
have to
do
do
It was like,
that.
it was prior to like me working here. That can be later, but
Okay.
Wait, are
Um,
you gonna actually
I don't
do
know.
that space break?
I don't
That was
know.
a break.
That was a break. That was it.
What?
Okay.
That would be like
Exactly.
exactly.
Do you want a long break or do you just want short breaks?
A long break.
Yeah, so you gotta just keep working.
Okay.
This is the break. This is when we take our break.
Yes.
Did we don't get a break
always
for the
get
rest of the
everything
time?
your way in life.
Well, no, we can. Yeah, we can do. I mean, like to do a long break, a fourth of the way through. We need to kind of keep plugging along here. All right.
Let's just grind through.
Chapter 6, we had 2 charts on quadrilaterals. Not quadrilaterals. That's geometry.
Quadratics?
Quadratics.
Oh, I was gonna say, it looks like he's in here.
Quadrilaterals are 4-sided shapes. So
She's got geometry on the
Thank you
brain.
for reminding me. I actually kind of.
I was like, wait, what a quadratic?
quadratics. There we go.
And if I
still think we should quadratics.
So you guys, we had 2 charts on this. One was how to solve all quadratics, and then one was just on factoring. So there was 2 different charts. So it was factoring and solving.
Found it. Is it like yellow?
Yellow and,
Yellow and purple.
yeah, I'm not sure what the other one is.
Yeah, that's-
Oh, the factoring
It's
one.
somewhere in
Is that the
there.
one you just kept using? I put that somewhere.
Yeah. So it was like goldenrod and purple.
It's somewhere in here.
It's like the colors of our school.
Exactly. All right. So we were able to graph quadratics, and from the graph we could find the vertex, we could find intercepts, look at that shape of that graph, our parabola. So the vertex, that's one of our formulas we need. So for the vertex, it's x equals negative b over 2 times a. So this is for the vertex of our quadratic.
Oh, wait a minute, I remember this.
So that would be definitely
That's magic.
note card worthy. That's a negative b over 2 times a.
I think you thought it was a 6.
Yeah, that's why.
I can't see.
So
Yes.
negative 12 over 2 times 2. So our b is 12, so negative 12 over 2 times 2, so that's negative 12 over 4. So the first half of my vertex is a negative 3. It's also called our axis of symmetry, that line that the graph is symmetric through at that point. Now once I know the vertex, so I have to, or the first half of the vertex, I have to put that value back in to find the y-coordinate. So I'm putting that negative 3 back into this equation.
Wait, I actually like this unit.
I thought this was my.
What?
I didn't see it.
I don't
No, towards the end of it we were.
This is an object.
Because I
Is that
remember,
negative 2?
I remember Kinsey during this unit.
What? Why?
Because you're my friend.
Aww. I was about to yell at you for making fun of me.
So,
You sat behind me.
I did?
so our vertex is 3, negative 2, and that came from using that formula and then substituting that back in. The x-intercept is where it touches the x-axis. The y-intercept is where it touches the y-axis. So for the y-intercept is I can put 0 in for my x, and that's just an easy point to find because it's 0, 0, 16. So that's not a very helpful point because it's way off my graph.
Are you at 16?
What?
Are you at 16?
I put 0 in. This becomes 0, that becomes 0, 0 plus 0, 6 plus 16. The x-intercept, though, is the tougher one in this case. We have to find that by making a little quick table of values here. Remember, there's that symmetry with this graph. So hopefully we can figure out the rest of the graph based off of the other half. So we only have to check one side at a time.
I
we don't. Not in this one.
That was always
All
a
right.
mean trick.
All right, so if I put -2 in, and this I'm going to kind of do a little bit in my head here. So I'm putting -2 in. It's 4 times 2, which is 8. Minus 24. Sorry, I can't do it all in my head. Plus 16. So we actually get 0 there. But if that's 0, this also has to be 0. So those are actually my x-intercepts as well. So -2 and -4 are my x-intercepts. Those can be considered my solutions for this equation.
Well, not positive.
And then I put -1 or 5 in. So I get 6 for this one. Same thing on the other side. And so now I have my parabola, which is a pretty skinny parabola, but it's pointing up. Alright. So again, the reason I wanted you guys to refer to that chart is because that was just one of the many methods we learned in chapter 6. So graphing a quadratic, we learned how to solve by square roots, solve by completing the square. We did a whole bunch of factoring. Chapter 6 was a pretty big chapter.
So this chapter 5.
So
These just the only 2 chapters.
it's 3, well, yes, 6 and 5, and then we also need the one we just did. So that was 9, right?
What the heck is thrown stuff?
All right, solving by square roots, we want to just get what's being squared alone. So we're going to move this 5 over first. So -32. I'm going to get rid of the 2. I get a -16. And then I go take the square root of that. Now your calculator will give you an error, but we learned this chapter that there is a solution.
4.
It's 4 and
-4.
-4, but what are you missing?
Uh,
I. So the answer for this one's going to be plus or minus 4i. So when you take the square root of a negative number, you get that imaginary solution. All right. So completing the square is probably the one that I think is the least intuitive, that just makes sense, that we don't, it's just hard to remember all the steps. So this is probably one that I would suggest writing the steps down pretty clearly. So the first thing is we want it to be x squared plus bx. So it should look like this to begin with. You want to isolate that. So I'm going to move this 26 away. And I'm going to leave a little space on this one. So left some space because I want to take b divided by 2 and then square it. I'm going to add that to each side. So I'm going to take b and divide it by 2 and square it. And I'm going to add it to each side. So -10 divided by 2 is 5. Squared is 25. So I'm going to add 25 to each side. What do I get over here? Is that just 7?
Yeah.
Now this left side, I should be able to factor using perfect squares. So multiply to 25, add to -10. -5 and -5. So now I have it factored as a perfect square. So at this point, we want to take the square root of each side. I'm going to take the square root of each side. Now the square root of 7 is not a nice number. That's okay. We're just going to write it as plus or minus the square root of 7. But then I just have to move that 5 over to the other side. So there's our final answer for that one. All right. Do we need a break now?
Yep.
Okay, so we can do a break. I might pass out the review to some of you guys if you don't want to do a fun Kahoot. I'll pass out to everyone, and then we can choose the football team.
Yep.
What?
No.
No. No. No.
We never get to pick anything in this
Yeah.
football.
It's
I
Mr.
agree.
Donovan's birthday
This
though.
is Carlisle.
Oh, you can pick it today, they pick tomorrow.
Yeah, you guys can pick it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, can
I copy all your answers?
Yeah.
Oh.
sure. Oh, man.
Are we doing a fun Kahoot?
Oh, this is fun.
yeah, of course.
That's part 1.